Hi, it's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight I'm delighted to be joined by UK-based funk, rock, metal band Ritual. Now, tonight we've got guitarist Mike, we've got vocalist Franco, we've got bassist James, and last but no means least, we've got Terry on drums. So how are you guys doing? Has everything been okay with COVID and all that? You haven't had the infection, unfortunately. Has everything been okay?
I think we've all had it, haven't we? At some point?
Yeah,
Marin's party.
Aye, so I mean, it's just it's been an absolute nightmare 2 years, but it's looking as if life is pretty much returning back to normal again. So exactly. Let's just see if we can get this show on the road. So next month, then you're releasing your next EP called Enigma. So you must be chomping at the bit to get the EP out there. Then, so how have the reviews been for the EP so far? That good? I'm delighted to hear it.
Yes. Yeah. Go on, Franco. You go ahead with that one, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a very complimentary review from the late great Malcolm Dome. We've had a very complimentary review from Jerry Ewing from Prog Rock Magazine. We got a great review yesterday. And for the life of me, I can't remember who that was from.
Is that the Headbangers? What they called? Yeah.
Sorry, bad. I'm on my honeymoon at the moment, so like it's like I'm a little bit worse for the wear. So remembering exactly what is I'm keeping track of what's going on, but yeah.
I can't believe you're doing this interview if you're on your honeymoon. What's your?
My wife's very patient with me. I literally, like, since like Friday, I've just been like, you know, like we're doing stuff, but you know, honeymoon paused at certain points, so I can kind of keep track of what's going on. Yeah, no, it's by and large, it's been very positive, and you know, we're delighted to be getting this EP out because like we've been working on it, you know, collectively since. Really, like it's everything started with it pre-COVID, and then COVID, you know, ground everything to a halt with it, like it did with everybody. Like everybody ground to a halt, and then we just kind of, you know, worked on it from there because there was nothing we. We've just been working on it there. So yeah, it's great getting it out, and you know, we are looking forward to kind of like seeing what the response is. But so far, responses have been pretty positive.
Yeah.
You know, like we collectively know that we're a bit of a Marmite band. You know, you either like us or you really won't. We know kind of from experience, there's little middle ground with us.
Yeah.
But especially with Pandemonium coming out, it's been really positive. Like we're delighted with the response to Pandemonium.
Good. Well, I hope you've sent the EP to Moshville Times. I hope either yourselves or Dan Carter have already done that, and I'm pretty sure that somebody will be picking it up. I might even pick it up myself because I've been listening to it quite a lot today. So, but that's what I was going to ask. Was there a possibility that Enigma could have been out like 6-9 months ago or something like that, but because of COVID, it just puts everything on hold, or is now the right time for Enigma to come out?
Anybody want to onto that? But anybody else?
Yeah. I don't mind throwing my 2 pence in there. I just think in terms of when we started working on the records, we started writing those songs sort of end of 2018 into 2019. I know it's a lot. These to us, these are like pretty old songs.
Yeah.
So we are working on new stuff. But when we started recording, it was just before the pandemic hit, and I think we had one
studio, wasn't it? We were in the studio the day before the first lockdown.
That's exactly it. Yeah, so we had a few like final finishing touches to do with it, but literally everything got shut down as that was happening, and I think we all sat around and said, you know, look, should we just get it mixed remotely and then just fire it on out there? And I think we kind of decided that rather than doing that and not being able to gig, because we did think, who knows when this will happen, Franco and the boys had a bit of a brainwave in terms of, well, let's try taking advantage of this shit and seeing if we can get some guests. Let's see what else we can do with it. And we did, and that ball started rolling.
Yeah.
But that ball rolled a little further than we thought initially, and hence, which is why we're only looking at putting it out now. But yeah, that's why it's taken a bit longer. 2 years.
So even the latest single, Pandemonium, then is it fair to say that that's an older song, or is that it's an older song?
Yeah. All of the
That's
tracks.
the oldest of the ones on the EP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. So, for those that are new to the band, then how would you say Enigma lies in terms of influences and sound? And do you think you've found the sound that you've been looking for with Enigma EP?
It's more growing up, isn't it, than anything else we've done.
It's definitely our first like big boy EP. Like, I mean, I think that's the way we've described it. I think we've always.
I was actually going to compare it to the last EP, but there was no way I was going to attempt to read out that title. So I'm just going to say your previous.
Right, Copacabana and the Punch Drunk.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always been pretty confident with what we're putting out, and we've been pleased with what we're putting out, and it's been a reflection of everything we put out. Has been a reflection of who we are and what we're about, and the sound. I mean, we've always been happy with it. I mean, we always kind of listen back now, and you know, in hindsight, and think, you know, we could have done this, we could have done that. I don't think it's so much that this EP is a kind of like a culmination of like, we found a sound. It's just what this EP is, and we know, you know, the next thing that we do is going to be very different from this EP, like with the material we're writing at the moment. It's definitely us. I mean, it's definitely got a ritual. It's definitely has the ritual sound to it, but it definitely veers in a different direction.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately at the heart of whatever it is that we've done is always like very much a hard rock sound, just on different records or songs even. We just pull in few little different influences here and there.
Yeah. But
fundamentally it is very much just like a hard rock with metal influence, I suppose.
Yeah.
So who would you say that, depending on what song, a ritual of bands where every member is constructive when creating the songs, so their influences, like I see Mike, for example, he's wearing a Mastodon t-shirt, so does he bring the heavier side to the material? So you might get something like, what I liked about Pandemonium was the bit halfway through where just the heavier riffs, and your vocals, Franco, just got that bit heavier as well. I do like your clean vocals as well. But is it pretty much a case of whoever brings the song to the studio, that's their influence coming in?
We jam most of the stuff out, don't we, really?
Yeah.
There might be a riff that's been, you know, like I'll play at home and be like, I'll take that to the boys. But most of it's in the room. Nothing's really pre-written by anyone.
Yeah.
And I like that because these guys come up with stuff that I would never think of.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So I would never write a song that we've written as a collective. And I don't think any of the others, like Panda wouldn't sound how Panda does if any one of us had just written it. It's like culmination, isn't it?
Yeah. So Terry, is Mike the kind of guy that would send you a riff at 4 o'clock in the morning saying this is the best riff I've ever written, by the way? Is that him?
No, he just rocks up on the day with about 6 different riffs and tries to bastardize one song out of them.
Thanks, Terry.
So how was it for you, Terry, being the drummer then? Obviously you can get your drums in the studio, but do you have an electric kit in the house and stuff like that? Could you still practice?
Well, it's a bit of a weird one. So the EP, I'm not actually drumming on. I joined the band a bit later on. As far as I'm aware, the drummer they did have went to Germany. and a good friend of the band who was in the Pandemonium music video called Steve Wallace filled in for us. And then I joined and learnt all the old material, all the new material, and started writing new songs.
Been a pain in the arse ever since.
I know, but no, practicing at home, I've got an electric kit because the next door neighbours had a baby, and people have babies, and funny enough, don't like drums. But
I hope you guys seriously made Terry audition and get him even in for a second audition. He just didn't walk into the gig, did he?
No, we were pretty desperate.
We've lucked out. I mean, we had a lineup change. We'd always planned to go into the studio to record Enigma. The plan was always to do it with Matty Moon in November, go into the studio. And in July, our drummer at the time left the band.
Yeah.
But we were not going to let that stop us. So Steve, who is a legend, stepped up to the plate. And, he's not even a drummer by trade. The dude is
he's
incredible. He is. He's amazing. And he stepped up. We came to the first rehearsal and he knew all the tracks.
Yeah.
Because he'd gone and listened to all the live material and kind of nailed it. But Steve, it wasn't. Even from his perspective, it was never a permanent thing.
Yeah.
We were looking around for other people, and Mike knew Terry for years and hadn't mentioned the fact that he knew a drummer of Terry's caliber, and Terry came along to the studio, and it was the chemistry was right. I mean, Terry's got chops, but it's to us, it's the chemistry and just having that equilibrium in the band where we're all comfortable in the room and there's no awkwardness or anything like that. And Terry's a swell guy, and we're very, very happy and very fortunate. We knew after our first jam with him, this is the dude to do it.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What you don't bang your head on the way out the door there, Terry, you know what I mean? So but no, that sounds cool. That sounds good. So thanks very much for that. But with everything that's happened over the last 18 months, 2 years then, has it made you look at the more business side of the band? Like, are you now taking on more roles that you never previously did? For example, the marketing, the merch, and keeping the name of Ritual out there. Have you been doing things like that?
I think I don't know if anybody else wants to jump on that question.
You start.
I think go on.
we've always had, been done that element of it to a certain extent, but Ritual started for us as a jam band and a band to let off steam with on a Sunday, and it was just an opportunity to make noise and like our therapy session after a stressful week. It was. I don't think any of us, expected, 4 years down the line, 5 years. I lose count now. 4 or 5 years down the line to be doing stuff with 5 years. Okay. With Anneke on, have a song with Jurgen on, to have a song with have Devin featuring on the EP. That was never the plan for it. So yeah, I think definitely with the pandemic, like with what we've created, we're now kind of going, oh, okay, this is pretty special for even if for nobody else, it's special for us to be able to kind of walk away from the shitty last couple of years we've all had, and to come out with something beautiful and something we're really proud of collectively amongst us, even if for nobody else, but for us. And it's just really now it's just thinking, okay, well, how do we put that out there so as many people can appreciate it as possible?
Yeah, cool.
That's my 2 pence.
Thanks very much for that, Franco. James, were you wanting to say something, mate?
I just think in terms of like what you said about has it changed the way we look at it? I agree with Franco. I think, but what the time that we had to work and sort of embellish the songs and obviously not be gigging and sort of getting Terry in and learning the songs and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It actually bought us time. We thought, let's not rush this because we've had to take so much time with it already. It's given us a bit more time in which to sort of plan this release.
It's like a reset button, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it has been. So yeah, exactly. We've really enjoyed working on the record and getting the peeps in to do their thing. But it's also given us a bit more time just to think. Well, look, we've taken this long on it already. Let's just let's get some videos made. Let's go the whole way with it. That's it, really.
So obviously the last 2 years it's been shit, but it also has brought its advantages. It's made you think of things like that. I mean, personally as well, I had a fear of doing like face-to-face interviews or online interviews, but then during COVID I had a life coach, and the session number 6 was overcoming fear. I've now got my own YouTube channel. I've got over 100 interviews and stuff like that. So it does have its advantages. It does make you sit down and think. So as long as you stay mentally healthy up there, it's such a big thing at the moment, mental health. So as long as you stay fit and healthy, then it's
number one.
Exactly.
Number one.
Exactly. So with the recording of the Enigma then EP, will there be anything that you'll do differently with your next release? And what would you say you learned most about doing the recording for this EP? Was there anything done differently than you've done with previous output? Or is there anything that you're now going to take forward to the next release that you're going to be doing?
We're pretty old school, aren't we, in terms of miking everything up? And we have been toying with using maybe plugins next time for like amp sims, as opposed to lugging a load of valve heads hundreds of miles to a studio and then letting them blast for hours. But I don't know, we're all pretty old. That's Terry's suggestion. I like how they did it in the 60s. So
what are you going to say, Franco?
Yeah, I mean, from my own perspective, it is. I mean, in all the previous releases, it's been myself, like prior to Enigma, it's been myself and Marinos doing vocals, and we've always shared it. And I think with this, it's getting as many voices within Ritual on the EP, because we all sing on this EP. I mean, it's not just my voice. Yeah, we're all singing on it.
Even Terry the drummer on the name of God.
Well, Terry will be on the next one because Terry's got a sick voice as well.
Yeah. Is his voice being sick, or is it a sick voice?
No,
acid reflux. Acid reflux.
From my perspective, it's okay, right? I mean, I can sing, but what the bands I like listening to, it's not just one singer. It is everybody in that band sings.
Yes.
And because I can't think of anything more boring than listening to one vocal style. So the great thing is, I think the EP has, vocally, from my perspective anyway, it sounds like it's got a lot more depth than anything we've done before, because we're all singing on it, and there's this, it just brings out this richness to it.
Do you think Frank was just a wee bit of a lazy singer, and that's why he's getting all yous involved?
Yeah, that's what we had to do.
That's what I thought.
For sure. Yeah. I'm shit.
So Terry, what kind of vocals are you bringing in? And then is it clean singing and is it rough singing, or?
I mean, the brilliant voice is news to me. So
no, we've all said before, like, and we've all agreed, like, previously, that we're all going to sing, and one way or another that we will make it work. Like, for example, like prior to this, Mike had never sung on record before, and
maybe the last time as well, by the looks of things. Yeah,
not a chance, not a chance.
Aye.
Like if you listen, like he's on. I mean, Mike is singing on As Above, So Below. He's on Murderous, and he's on Panda as well. So that's 3 tracks, and it's the choruses. He just brings. It really does. So from Mikhail Lewin, but it really does give it an extra depth, and that's something I've taken away from it. Like it's we can all do this. On top of that, I think there is there's a, how do I phrase it? We've all got like things that we can bring to the EP that maybe we wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable doing. And I think getting guests involved gives it another dimension as well. Like we could have easily asked Marinos to kind of to do play some sax.
Do what?
We could have asked. The old Ritual prior to Pandemic might have said Marinos, throw some sax on Murderous, because he did. Marinos played sax on Petrified in Ash, but then it was okay. No. Let's really think about it.
Well, that was the big thing, wasn't it? If you were going to get female vocals, who would you have? Oh, Anneka's got an amazing voice. Well, no one's working at the minute. Why don't we go and ask these people?
You talk about it just now, but I was going to bring it up later. But we'll keep it till later, right? Because I love Anneka as well. Love her. But yeah, also with you all being vocalists, then I can't tell you how, for want of a better phrase, turns me on, because see on the live front, see when there's more than one vocalist, absolutely brilliant. I just think it brings so much diversity to a song on the live front. I mean, one of the best experiences that I saw live was a band called Nile, and they had 3 vocalists, and it was just absolutely astounding. So to see that all you guys doing it, especially Terry with his microphone behind the drum kit, very much looking forward to seeing that.
Proper Britney Spears.
Brilliant.
So then, I just have to ask: is everything okay with your wife? You're quite all right to carry on with this interview?
Yeah. My wife was listening to your accent. She's like, "Is that Glaswegian, man?" My wife's half Scottish, and her mum's from Glasgow, so she was like clocked it a mile off.
I like your wife already. She's got good. But what was I going to say? So, going on a wee bit more about how the songs are constructed within the band. When constructing the songs and with the band members having their own personal taste in music, how would you say that you bring it all together? For example, when negotiating what stays in and what goes out of a song. I mean, do you have like a vote or something like that, or is there always a moody one that takes a huff when Mike says no, that's not going to fit? How does it work?
I'm the moody one.
You're the moody one.
If someone has an idea, it gets played. It's never like something's just overlooked for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So every idea is taken sort of into account, and then we try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But then you might get like something from that idea that then leads into the next section.
Yeah.
It's kind of all play off each other.
Yeah.
James and Terry are very good at structuring as well, it has to be said.
Yeah.
So most song structure is just left to, I'll come up with a few ideas, Khan will throw his hat into the ring, and then it's down to those two to put it all together. And James likes to get proper weird with stuff. If you've been at rehearsal today, it's like Captain Beefheart's level of madness. It's ridiculous.
Are you just jealous because he's got more pedals than you?
Yeah, I always wanted a few extra ones. It's just a lot of jamming, and then really like Mike's got a load of riffs, occasionally I have a couple, and then we just all sort of throw it all together. And then that noise was the dog, by the way, not me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it really. Yeah, it's just a lot of joking. The dog going off again.
So do you still quite close to each other so you can get into rehearsal space like a couple of times a week or once a week or something?
Once a week.
That's enough
Every
to
Sunday.
see each of you.
Once a week, yeah.
But it must have been weird going into the rehearsal space first time after COVID. You're like, who are you again? What instrument is it you play?
I loved it. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think like looking back, like from after the first lockdown when we got back into the room, there are still moments like because we record everything we do. Like we go in and we set our phones up, and you know anything that seems like gold is kind of saved on our kind of YouTube. And we will then go and it gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
But even looking back at that first rehearsal, there are moments in that I think like, oh, that's great. Like we should blatantly like bring that out. But we jam a lot, and we come up with a lot of sections that are great, but we're not really sure what to do with.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that, like really good moments that we don't know what that's for.
Sometimes just lots of noises and things. Yeah.
That's it. No, it sounds as if you're a very, very tight unit already, so long may that continue. But Franco, with you being the vocalist of the band then, do you do all the lyrics for the songs, or do you welcome contributions from the other band members? And what would you say your lyrical themes are?
Yeah, I mean, to go try and answer that in order, I think I guess I do write most. I mean, I do think of myself, I mean, these boys will disagree with me, but I do see myself as first and foremost as the lyricist of the band. And then I try and work out how I'm going to deliver that afterwards, how I'm going to deliver the lyrics afterwards. I'm not precious of being the one in control of the lyrics. I mean, plenty of times Mike or Marinos or Terry have said something. I'm like, oh, let me just write that down. And I've got like, on my phone, the notepad function, I've got like just random lines that someone has said that I think at some point I can use that. So in some way or another, those boys have written lines, even though they might not realize it. But
what
I think
playing then?
But it's not something I'm precious about, but it's something that it's the first thing I gravitate towards, writing the lyrics. That's the thing I do. I kind of like speak them out and then think about it afterwards. Okay, well, how am I going to do this? So they're like maybe, I mean, you were saying like the heavier vocals in Panda. There were like 3 or 4 variations we could have done that in.
Yeah.
Speaking of Panda, like Panda is like what we call Pandemonium. It's like there's like a band pet or anything.
I was aware. I was conscious of how many times we said the word panda.
What's this panda they're talking about?
Yeah, I imagine though, like Mike, if Franco's taken care of most of the lyrics, he's already envisioned how you're going to sing a particular line. But how difficult is that for you to get what he wants? You know what I mean?
We didn't do that, did we, actually? It was the other way around.
Was it?
I based everything around what Frank had already sang.
Okay.
So it was like, I'll hear a melody and be like, what if I sang it like this? And he's really easygoing, so it always made it on.
Again, Pandemonium is an interesting example of like the first final mix, shall we call it, like the first one that we had of the EP, like when the pandemic hit.
Yeah,
it was all I sang everything on it. Weirdly, and I'm not joking on this, when I wrote Pandemonium, or when I wrote the vocals for Pandemonium, sorry boys, like I thought to myself, like it would be great if I could get Anneke singing that middle 8. And if it was more, if only I could sing like Anneke, you know, in that middle 8 section, because that would be, you know, perfect. So it was myself just doing it, and it didn't cut it. And then we got Anneke on it, and it was just like, okay, we'll cut everything I've done out. And then it was, okay, we'll keep certain like phrases I will kind of like harmonize with Anneke at certain points. And then when we had like another session finishing things off, like as soon as like things opened up again, and Mike kind of chimed in at that point, and it's kind of just unraveled in this way into what you now hear. But that wasn't like what was intended at all. But yeah, it's just a very, very happy accident with the way that it's turned out.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, you were going to say? I thought I stood on your toes there. Sorry about that. No, we're going to talk about Anneke for a wee bit, because I absolutely loved her in The Gathering. I love her solo stuff as well. I've had the pleasure of seeing her live in Glasgow as well, even singing Dolly Parton. But I know I'm a death metal fan, but a good version of Dolly Parton. But that must have been.
Was that? Sorry, have you heard the stuff she's done, her Kate Bush tour? Like, I don't know if you followed any of that. No. My God, like she nails it. She absolutely nails Kate Bush. There's like, I mean, as a kid growing up, I loved Kate Bush, and I loved Anneke as well. You know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, in particular, her stuff with The Gathering, and I could never really put my finger on why. And she's now, in the Netherlands, she's done this Kate Bush tour. Yeah, and like it's all clicked into like, oh, why I like Anneke is because if anybody can sing like Kate Bush, she can. She's absolutely astounding. Thanks very much for that, guys. But we're going to talk about Anneke a wee bit more. I especially love Anneke on The Gathering, especially the album Man de Leon. The song Leaves is just one of my all-time favourite female-fronted tracks. Stunning. So the fact that you got Anneke then, how did you go about getting Anneke to guest on your song? Well, as I said, like previously, like it would, and this is honestly, it's no word of a lie that middle 8 was, I had her in mind for the middle 8, even though, come on, like realistically, like pre-COVID, getting somebody of Anneke's stature on the track for like a bunch of nobodies like us, it wasn't realistic. It wasn't feasible. And she put up a social media post just as the pandemic hit. I saw that. I know what you're going to say. I saw that. Just send your music in. Yeah, basically, if you're an independent act and you like my voice, and send your track to me, and I'll listen to it, and if I think it's good, then I may well kind of come back to you and say yeah. And we kind of ummed and ahed about it for a while because we were really proud of Pandemonium, the whole EP. We were really proud of it as it was, and being the people we are, we do have pride and ego, and we didn't want to send it and then it come not get a reply. So we ummed and ahed about it for a while, and we missed the deadline that she put. And I think we all got on the same page about it like a week after that deadline had passed. Yeah. So we thought, okay, well, we've missed it. The worst we can do, or we can email her, and the worst that will happen is she'll come back and say no, or we won't hear anything. Yeah. We sent her the track, and a couple of days later, she came back to us and was very complimentary about what we'd done, and said that she was up for being on it. And it was this, I don't even know how to describe it. Like it was seeing that I know in myself that I had her in mind when we had written it was particularly the middle 8. I needed a really delicate vocal for that. And the fact that she came back and had said, yes, she was going to be involved with it, was just surreal. And Anneke, having Anneke on board with it kind of set the motion, because when she sent everything back, it sounded so phenomenal that we couldn't let the other tracks, which we were incredibly proud of, kind of fall by the wayside, and it being all about Pandemonium. So we thought, okay, well, what do we want on Murderous? What do we want on Seven Gates? And it kind of just snowballed as a result of having Anneke on it. Like Anneke kind of coming in at that moment and saying, yes, I'm up for it, completely changed the dynamic with the whole EP.
Raises the profile quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely outstanding. And the fact that you also got like Devin Townsend and Diane van Giersbergen as well, who often wondered, was it Anneke's sister? You've got Jurgen, as you talked about earlier, and you had Amanda as well. But is that something that you're going to do with your next release? Is it something that Ritual are going to keep on doing and having guest appearances? Or are you going to wait until you bring the song to the studio first and see what it sounds like? Or are you always going to have guests?
I think we should always have them.
I think my take is that we never, and I think all the boys would agree with this, we never want to have guests for the sake of having a guest on the track. Like it's not about that. It's, I mean, it has to serve a purpose, and it has to make sense. And
it's embellishments, isn't it? Like this bit would sound great with a pianist who's the best pianist that we can find. Like if it feels like it will serve the song, why try and do it ourselves when you could get somebody that's, if there's a rap section, we were saying this the other day, if there's a section where like a rap vocal would fit, Khan can do that, but why not go after like Public Enemy or something like that and try and get those guys? Like, why
I mean,
not?
I think the biggest thing we've learned about COVID through COVID is just to be ballsy and to have the audacity to kind of ask Devin to be on it. Like, we'd written.
It makes it stand out as well, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You got a million people releasing EPs or albums, singles. What makes you separate yourself from what everybody else is doing?
That's it. That's it. No, I appreciate your answers. Thank you very much. But you also released Seven Gates as a video single. So will Pandemonium be the final video to conclude the visual side of the EP, or do you have anything else in the pipeline?
There'll be another, I think. There's one more in there.
There's one more. There's
I'm again an exclusive.
Yeah.
Single.
We haven't. I think it will be after the release date of the entire EP. But from my perspective, I love all the tracks on the EP, as I know all these boys do. Of the one that I love the most is the one track that we haven't. It's not a single. It's Murderous. That I absolutely adore that track. But it just was there was only so much we can do with it before it just got ridiculous in terms of like waiting time to get it out. So I would say, there should be something with what we did with Jurgen coming out.
Yeah,
very much look forward to that. Then. Look forward to that. You've also been signed to the growing DC Sound Attack then. So how did that come about? How's the relationship been so far? And what do you hope Dan Carter will bring to Ritual?
Everything we can't. He's a really sound dude. We've had a few chats with him. I think Mike, it was you that got us in touch with him.
It was.
And yeah, he's look. You know, we've all got like as musicians. I think most musicians like typically aren't like that minded in sort of like a business sense, or at least don't necessarily have that web of contacts.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we know promoters, and we've obviously managed to get the guests on, but that was via sort of very open channels. But you know, he's really well established, lovely dude, and you know, really knows what he's doing in that respect of like how to help promote a band, which ultimately being in a band like we play, we sing, la la, drum. But yeah, do we know what we're doing? Yeah, it sounds like a bloody great idea, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I've interviewed Dan as well. He's a sound guy, and he does have a lot of contacts as well. So that's why I was bringing up about the business side earlier on. He'll probably take care of the majority of that for you. So if that's a big, massive headache away from you guys concentrate on writing music. Dan will take care of the rest. So yeah, got a lot of time for Dan, a lot of time. So
yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. Back to the EP. What are your big plans to promote the EP? Do you have like an EP launch show? Do you have you planned like a few dates around England? Are you hoping to go further afield and get into Europe? But what are your plans for supporting the EP?
Yeah, it will be gigging. To be completely honest, we have a few gig dates in the diary at the moment. We're really looking to build on that, and obviously gig the hell out of this EP. Currently, we don't have an EP launch date scheduled, but that's definitely something we'd love to do. So yeah, we're going to be looking into that as well as just. If you're watching and you want to hear us play, like, come on, like, just send us a message.
I'm pretty sure, was there something about, I don't know, I've been looking at so many bands' Facebooks recently, but are you a guest slot on Metal to the Masses or anything like that?
Yes.
You are. I'm glad I got that run right then. That could have been quite embarrassing. So whereabouts is that then? When is it? Because that's going to be a big gig. I'd imagine
we were
June the 12th.
Is it? Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, it's June the 12th. Yeah, Sunday, June the 12th, Club 85 in Hitchin.
Yeah.
So we've been to the final twice of Metal to the Masses, Hitchin. We formed 2017. We played the final 2018, 2019. And yeah, so we're stoked because those shows are electric. They're packed out and the atmosphere's banging. We come from like a local scene with a lot of talent. So the atmosphere is going to be incredible. Yeah, and we're really looking forward to that. Yeah, so we're playing is it the first semi-final?
Yeah,
the first semi-final. Yeah. So we'll be the guest headliner that night. Cool. We're buzzing for that.
Well, hopefully when you release the EP, you get like some offers to play gigs here, there, and everywhere, and just get on a stage. Get on a stage, man.
Yeah. That's what we do. That's really what we want to do. That's it. We've played we've played like a lot around like the London home counties area, and around the south of England as well, kind of Portsmouth, around the Brighton area as well, and it's but the first kind of far out show for us was we went down to Bristol to play the Griffin. When was that? I can't remember, boys.
October last year. It was absolutely banging. That was a brilliant gig. Great venue. Yeah.
Great venue, and just they just it was just amazing to get out of town and not be a local band.
Yeah.
And
everybody was proper into it as well, weren't they? It was so nice.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, Dan knows a lot of bands. For example, if you're willing to travel up to Manchester, get your slots on there. We went to a festival last October, and they have a very healthy, strong scene up there. So tag along with bands that are on DC. I think Recall the Remains as well. They're on DC soundtrack, aren't they? That would be an ideal gig for you or something like that. So it just depends when you four can get together and organise a couple of days and just get it done.
We'd love it. You know, if it's feasible and we can arrange it, then we are all for it.
Yeah. Now this is actually the last question for you then. But I honestly appreciate the time that you've taken it, especially on a honeymoon. I've never had that before. So I appreciate that. But we're now it can probably be another 40-minute video, because we're going to talk about the instruments that you used for the recording and maybe your setup as well. So we'll start off with your good self, James. What's your bass and what setup do you use? And your pedals. Let's talk about your pedals as well then, because you're dying to. And you have to take yourself off mute first.
Yes, that helps.
Yeah.
So Ibanez bass, 5-string. Actually, the bass I used on this record actually belongs to Mike, which is kind of a bit of a long-term loan. So thank you, Mike. And the pedals, I use a Boss Octaver for a little bit of distortion. There's a setting on it that I actually don't use it as an octaver, but there's a setting on it that sort of just dials in a little bit of grit. And I use a Mark Miller bass head.
Cool. So why 5 strings and not the 4-string then?
That's a good question.
Are you just showing off, or do you actually know? Do you actually use the 5th string?
I do use the 5th string.
I've seen you use all of them.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, look, there's no reason why I couldn't use a 4-string bass at all there. But having that extra string does open some options, and I do like to try and play the bass a little bit more like melodically, I suppose. I try and not just obviously as a rhythm instrument, but because Mike is sort of rhythm and lead.
Yeah,
I think having like the option to play some sort of slightly melodic parts on some of the songs as well, and experiment, it does open up a little bit more space for that, as well as sort of dynamically working up the fretboards for some certain riffs or melodies, and then just jumping into like the real low end to fill out those sort of heavier riffs. It just gives it that bit of push and pull. So to be honest, that's definitely where I feel like a bit of a preference towards the 5 strings. But beyond that, it's just a bit of chorus, and I actually have put a delay pedal in there, which I didn't use, and I wouldn't use for the recording, but for live, it finishing off a couple of songs, it gives like a little bit of a tail end to certain things and just gives a little bit of atmosphere. So yeah, they're just very practical effects really, rather than anything like particularly showy. But you know, I could certainly look at building upon that pedal board. And
I was going to ask, do you need to bring a separate van to bring all your pedals in it? But never mind. Thanks for that, James. I appreciate that. What about yourself, Mike? Then I'm just going to go around the cameras. So, what about yourself, Mike? What's your setup, mate?
I have a American Elite Fender Telecaster.
Do you have it sitting next
to
you?
I can get it if you want.
I'll go and show us it then. You show us the guitar then. I just had to make that clear. The guitar, I wanted to see. He's a nice boy, isn't he? He's a nice boy. I'm just reminding myself that this is actually recording. So while we're waiting on Mike coming back then, Franco, with you being the vocalist of the band, I've often wondered, like, when it comes to microphones, have you went through a range of microphones before you've came across one where you're happy with the sound of, or are you just like SM58 and I'll just do it?
I mean, I've always used an SM58, like in bands previous to Ritual back in the day. But I use the wireless SM58 now, and it packs a punch. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
I think with what we did in the studio, I mean, Matty had a ridiculous range of mics. The dude is just like he's a master, but like he basically said, use this, use that for this, use this for that, and yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I used. I'm not a tech head or anything like that. Like I said to you earlier on, like I see myself first and foremost as the lyricist, and the vocals sort themselves out. And after I've written the lyrics, and when it comes to recording, I don't really have much of a clue. I just go and do. And Matty, and previous to kind of working with Matty, like Marinot, I mean, everything we've done previous to work to Enigma, we've done with Marinos, James. James has done everything, like in terms of like production, and I give me a mic and I will do my thing into it. And but yeah, I mean, in terms of what I use an SM58 wireless.
Is that because you were tripping over the wire all the time?
Yeah, in part, yeah. In part, it's a pain in the butt. But it's I can move a little bit more freely on stage, and
off stage. You don't need to necessarily stay on the stage.
For sure, for real, yeah.
Those cartwheels really can be a problem.
I'll come back to you in a wee second, Mike. But obviously, with you being the vocalist again, Franco, these like James and Mike could pick up the guitars and all the rest of it and create riffs and keep their fingers fresh and all the rest of it. But with you, how did you keep your vocals in check for the 18 months where you can go into a studio, wherever like that? Were you singing in the shower, or were you like singing in the car and
driving my wife mental? Like in the house. My wife's on the EP, by the way. Like Kaz sings on it. Kaz is on Pandemonium. If you listen to, I don't even know what to call it. Is it the chorus? There's no happy ever after. That bit, Kaz is on.
Right, okay.
So, Kaz, myself, Mike, Jack as well, who we had a keyboard player as well. Jack is on that as well. And Kaz is on that. But in terms of like keeping my vocals in check, it was driving Kaz mental, and I was singing left, right, everywhere I could. But Enigma really was like I think it's for all of us, but I know that for myself, Enigma was my it was my therapy over the lockdown, and it kept me sane. Like keeping myself busy doing something. Other than I mean, I won't go too much into it, but like the lockdown, I'm a teacher. That's what I do for a living, and lockdown was a mixture of union work, because I'm a union rep, and that drove me mental. Like being a trade unionist, over the lockdown, especially the first one, drove me insane. And Enigma, having stuff to do with all these other people, and Matty, and firing stuff between us in our kind of band's kind of Facebook Messenger group and talking about stuff, kept me sane. Honestly, it really did. But like in terms of like keeping my vocals in check, exactly what you just said: singing in the shower, singing in the garden, singing in the kitchen when I was cooking, singing in the little space that me and Caroline live in. It was that thing. you know, it was really important to my mental health. And
So the wife hasn't given you an ASBO as of yet? No.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not
She's
yet.
the best. I mean, the thing with this EP, like, I'm the worst singer on this EP. Like, for real. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, you've got like people like, I don't know, like Marinos, like is incredible. He's got an incredible voice. Mike is like, I call him Mikhail Lewin. Just because he opens his mouth and just this silk just comes out. And then I've got my wife who sings across the EP as well. Incredible. And it's just like, all right, okay, now I've just got to do my thing. But
James, your shit. Don't worry about it, James. Your shit. But
I know it.
We call him Dr. Velvet.
But thanks a lot for that, Franco. So going back to you, Mike, let's see the guitar. Show us the guitar again. So what's your setup? What pedals do you use? And is that a 7-string there?
6.
6, is it? I was trying to count the pegs there. So you're not the show off then? It's just James that's the show off.
I did have a 7, but I couldn't. I don't like them. I'm not good enough to use 7 strings. So I like to stick with my 6. Pedal wise, I haven't really got much. I use a reverb delay and a tuner.
So something tells you Mike's just the guy that just puts his cable in the speakers and just plays. He's not bothered.
No, I am. But
he is.
I don't know. Well, being the only guitarist, there's not a lot of room to have a load of ridiculous effect and stuff. Like if I have a lead, I'll have a reverb delay, and I spent quite a bit of time researching that pedal. But other than that, 5150 PV, just turn it up, isn't it?
Exactly.
Crushing. Plus, James has got too many pedals. I can't compete.
I know.
He covers all the ground we need.
There's always one show off in the band. But listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. So Tyree, sorry about that, mate. I forgot about the drummer there, as most bands do. So what's your setup? What's your drum kit of choice?
I was off what you going to say about the EP. I was going to say, like Khan, I'm the worst drummer on the EP. No, I first turned up to practice. So I've always used big kits, like big shells and whatnot. I first turned up to the Ritual practice with my most ungodly snare drum. It's like 14-inch by 6.5.
Right.
And it was getting lost in James's wall of sound with his 90 pedals. So I swapped I've got like a little 13-inch Black Panther Cherry Bomb, which I tune right up, and I've sort of found that cuts through the mix a bit more. It's very sort of like early Slipknot, Joey Jordison tone to that.
Okay.
And cymbal-wise, I was using a lot of sort of darker, jazzier cymbals because I was one of those guys. But these guys corrupted me. So I got a full line of Sabian AAX, which are like a brilliant finish. They cut through the mix really well, but they're not too piercing, which I really like. But then my shell pack is still massive vintage drums. It's all made of African mahogany. It's supposed to enhance the low end, but it's an illegal wood now, so I'm stuck with the vintage kit because I can't get a new one.
It sounds as if Ritual have to bring a lorry to play a gig with the size of your drum kit rather than coming in a van. So you're going to be the
ton. Well, that's why we got mine.
That's why we've got Mike. No, cool. So I take it was quite a bit of a pain in the backside trying to find the right snare sound for Ritual.
Yeah, I've always used the big boy, and I bought it for a few weeks thinking like I'll make it work. I kept playing with tunings, and then I bought the littler one once, and that day Mike actually commented and said, like, that's the best sounding snare drum I've ever heard. And I was like, I
think
guess
I
that's
was
the
that
one then.
nice.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I appreciate the time that you've taken to talk to me. Like I said, send us an MP3 of a song. We'll get it played on Moshville Radio. I'll be doing the editing of this interview, and I'll get it out as soon as I can. So it'll be going on Moshville Times and all their socials, and I'll also go onto all my socials. And we'll just do whatever we can to promote Ritual, because you deserve promoting. And hopefully one day I'll get to see you in the live front.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. So, I mean, my show on the radio is more for the dark side, like death metal and extreme metal and stuff like that. But I've went through them all. I mean, I was listening to Duran Duran and Aha and all the rest of it. So I've listened to all music, Faith No More and all the rest of it, Mastodon and all the rest of it. So I did like Pandemonium. So as long as you keep writing music like that, you've got a new fan.
Awesome.
Awesome, man.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Very much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much
for that, guys.